Are you ready for part 2 of our conversation with writer, actor, director, and special effects artist Jason Brooks? In this episode, we dig into What's in a Name circa 1996 and explore the evolution of Real Fiction Studios, a Pacific Northwest film, makeup, and special effects company. And the evolution wouldn't be complete without the soul questions of the Mind Game podcast and the unfolding story of a never in progress. Join us as we take a look at Real Fiction Studios' newest makeup release, learn just how many things a special effects studio is part of, and delve into the realm of creativity. If you are curious about Jason's journey, how to see the level up inside of the challenge, and the insights that only come with experience, you don't want to miss this conversation with Jason Brooks. Let's join the conversation. P.S. You've got about 60 seconds to get ready. Here comes the intro. Welcome to Mind Game, a podcast to level up your life. My name is Stephanie Painshaw, and I'm excited for you to join me on a journey behind the scenes where we'll dig into the stories of resilience, mindset, and unlock the simple habits that will help you change the game. Before we dive in, I want to express our gratitude for your continued support. Your energy powers our quest to provide content that encourages you to unlock new levels of personal growth and step out of your own comfort zone. If you're inspired by an idea or have a suggestion for a future topic, connect with us at mindgamelevelupyourlife.com. Your feedback is a power-up that helps us continue on this epic adventure. So if you're ready to get out of your own way and explore what you didn't know you needed to know, you've come to the right place. So buckle up, open up your mind. It's time to level up. So if we think about Real Fiction Studios, how did you come up with the name Real Fiction? Because I find that interesting.
Yeah, that I've always liked that kind of black and white opposites, but polarity of things. And I was sitting there thinking many years ago, in 1986, I think, for a name to do my freelance. I had graphic design business. I was doing some website design, and I was also doing artwork. So I was just trying a bunch of different things out, but I wanted to have one name to represent everything I was doing. And I played around with a whole bunch of things. I can't remember all of them right now, but somehow when I did that one, I loved it. I looked it up online, which at the time, still not a lot of websites, not a lot going on, but I started looking around. I was like, I like the ring of that, and the sound had a good flow for me. And it kind of represented a lot of what I do. It's like try to create something that's fiction, make something real out of something fictional. And it just stuck.
I would love the story behind the name because it often has a really personal meaning when people find the one that really clicks. And sometimes it's hard to find one that isn't already taken online. I know trying to come up with a podcast name, you're like, I'll name it this. Nope, there's already 5 of those, and you keep going and you keep going. And it's hard to come up with those original pieces. But I always thought that's a really interesting real fiction, right? It's that play on words, but it is bringing the fiction to life, and people love that part of it. So tell me a little bit more about Real Fiction Studios. So you talked about you've been using that title or that company name for a while, special effects and production. So what does that mean exactly? Like what types of things would you do?
Sure. So our core business for Real Fiction Studios is basically makeup, special effects, makeup, props, and things like that. So anything that is applied to a person's body in a movie, whether it be a wound or prosthetics to make their nose bigger, ears bigger, some sort of accident, could happen, missing a tooth, whatever it is, or having extra teeth.
Yes.
All those things are special makeup effects. We do other props that are like body casting. So we make full bodies. One of the films we worked on over the summer, we made 7 full silicone bodies of these actors that had to be destroyed in different horrible ways. They keep the actor safe. And so that sort of thing. And we also make like retractable props. Somebody wants to get stabbed with a random ski pole or something, we make that. So that is safe for the actors. And we just made a whole bunch of leeches for a film because, we don't want to put real leeches on an actor. So
Yes, they probably don't
also,
appreciate that very much. Yeah.
not too much. But so we make a lot of things like that.
Mhm.
And there's also things like some air cannon explosions, a lot of work with blood. We have 22 different types of blood, I believe, right now for various reasons and looks. So that's the kind of the core business. We also help with production. We do some costume work. We do some mask things. We do some art, body casting artwork, and that's kind of a secondary business. And then we also have our makeup line
Yes.
that we've developed. And yes, we have the Killing It line that Naomi and we partnered with Tori Bell at the time, and now it's a Real Fiction. So,
and so if people want, yes, they had the lip color and the eyeshadow, and these are bright, vibrant colors. And you have the green there, right? That was the green one.
This is the one that just came out. And so we sat down, we picked out the colors, and they're named. So this is the Cemetery palette, and you have the Scream Queen palette. So everything is horror themed, and the colors on the Cemetery are Seance, Tombstone, Cursed, and Moss. And
there we go.
Very
so
vibrant.
If somebody wants to get eyeshadow or the lip color, they can go to your website, correct?
Absolutely.
And there's also lots of other awesome merchandise on the website.
Double-sided lip, gloss, and matte. Yeah. So
I need to go shopping again. That's what this is. I need to go shopping again. And there's also wonderful merch in the zip up hoodies or all sorts of things. I saw
all good things. Yeah, a lot of like pillow covers and t-shirts and random things there that kind of all fit in the theme. So we have a lot of fun stuff, mugs, all that. But
so I will link that up for any of our viewers. I will link all of that information with the podcast. So if you have any questions about that or want to check it out, you're more than welcome to do that. You can check out the Mind Game website to get the links to Jason's sites. So let's go into the Mind Game questions that I sent you in advance. So the first one is, it came from a pep talk that I was listening to that was by Dwayne Johnson. So I call it the rock question. And he was all about football. So he was going to play football in the NFL. He didn't get drafted in the NFL, or he didn't get selected in the NFL. He ended up in Calgary, just not too far away. I'm in Saskatchewan, that's Alberta, so not too far away. He got cut from the Stampeders and he had $7 in his pocket. So that's how his production company got the name. He had $7. He said, Canadians, not very much money compared to the US. And so in the end, he said, if that hadn't happened, if he hadn't been cut from the Calgary Stampeders, he never would have committed to wrestling. And they did, in fact, ask him to come back to Calgary. And he said, no, I've made up my mind. This is the way I go. So my rock question is, what's the best thing that never happened for you?
The best thing that never happened.
Mm-hmm.
So
something that you thought was going to work out for you didn't work out for you, and it actually led you to a better place. So in the last episode, we talked about how the nevers sometimes shape where we go, and sometimes in our rush to get across that in between, if we actually just sit in the discomfort and the struggle of the in between for a bit, those nevers that maybe pushed us into the water take us to an even better place that we didn't imagine in the future. So if you have one that you'd like to share.
Yeah, I had thought about that differently, like something that meant something good that should have happened or was about to happen that didn't happen.
And that works too.
Yeah. So for that one, in my first year at Amazon, being there early, I was fortunate enough to get some stock options right away and really early on. But back then, working minimum wage at an entry-level job there, you're struggling a bit. And so not knowing very much, about the thing and being young and broke, cashed out my stock. And then within the next year, it kind of doubled and split and doubled and tripled and split. And had I just waited, I could have had, $28 million.
Just a little pocket change.
Just a little bit.
So the best thing that never happened was you didn't get rich quick.
Exactly. So I stayed there, but that put me on my path in my life to get there. Cause who knows, maybe that wouldn't have worked out well for me. and I wouldn't have gotten the movies because that could take me on a whole different path and meet different people. The best thing that never happened, I think, is still happening right now. It's the closing of Portobello Cosmetics and getting laid off back then, and really fully committing to making Real Picture Studios
Yes.
work. And not just for me, we invite other artists that are local here, other people who are trying to get into it. We want to have them come and shadow us and learn from them, have them learn from us, and grow it so that we have a nice network of makeup and effects artists and everything that we can all kind of rise together and create a community up here. So that's what we're working on right now. And that's the blessing in disguise that I'm hoping that one day I'll be on a podcast and say, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be here.
Well, here's your first podcast recording that says, wouldn't be here full on into it unless one door closed and the next one, well, maybe you kind of got pushed into the next one faster than what you might have thought. But
Okay.
I think it's an exciting journey to be on. I appreciate that you always talk about the team, that it is a team effort, that it's those connections. And if we can help other people connect, we can all rise together. So it's not a competition. We are, in fact, stronger as a team, and we can actually rise faster and go further together. So I appreciate that philosophy. And again, those, like you said, taking those moments to appreciate where you are in life as you work through. So my next question then is, looking back to younger Jason when you were growing up, is there, and part of the reason for this question is my daughter's 14, turning 15. And so I'm always thinking, what are some of the things I should be keeping in mind as a parent? But what would we say to our younger self? So what would you say to your younger self?
I'd say believe in yourself and what you have already. Growing up and being a teen, it can be really hard sometimes. I was bullied growing up, and by, a lot of different people that were close to me. So I did not have high value in myself. I wanted to be there, but then as I grew up, I'm noticing it was there. I had it the whole time. And it wasn't until I was able to kind of sit back and find value in myself and kind of love myself that I realized who I really am and what I bring to the world. So you have it in you. And everybody does. I just feel like you're kind of born with it, and you just have to let it be there. And, just be patient. It'll happen. And don't be too proud to ask for help. Don't be too proud to take 2 steps back. You don't have to prove yourself to anybody. Mm-hmm. So if you do need to have help for a minute so that you can kind of get your balance and get forward and move on, that's great. But don't be so shy.
Yeah.
I'm very shy. So
me too. I was extremely shy. So it's ironic that I interview people now online, or I know it takes a lot more energy for me in a crowd, but I appreciate what you're saying, that everybody has a purpose for what they're here to do, that believing in yourself, which is sometimes hard to do, but if you can surround yourself with people that can help to lift you up, that sometimes it's just a matter of putting your one foot in front of the next one and just keep going, because you will find those people that have similar interests, that your talents will start to shine. Is there any advice or any strategies that you use to navigate through those harder times, to keep putting one foot in front of the other, to move forward?
yes, I think part of it comes from experience and going through hard times in the past, and seeing that each time I've gone through a hard time, it has gotten better. And that is true with relationships. Sometimes when you go through a relationship and it's over, it feels like the end of the world. And then you can look back and say, you know what? I've been there, and now I'm in a better place. And I've been there again, and now I'm in a better place. And as you kind of move on, you take those learnings, and each time it gets better and better. And that's with work, with relationships, with life, with the passion, learning it always comes back. And as long as you can learn from it and accept it and know that that's why you're here now, is because you had to be there, I think. Yeah.
And I think sometimes when you're on the journey or in the hard part, it's hard to know that those are pushing you in a direction that it will get better. And that I read one book, I think it was The One Truth, and it talked about life is full of ups and downs. And just like you said, the sooner that we realize that when you're on a down, it will get better, it will go back up. That's just part of the cycle of life. And that using that experience to keep moving forward is important. You almost need experience to do that. It's part of growing up and gaining that life experience. So here's a question, because when I go for walks at lunch, when I can, when it's not, minus 40 something with the wind chill in Saskatchewan, and I usually listen to some different motivational talks. And the one said, so where you are right now, if you were to think of yourself in 10 or 20 years, what would your future self come back to you and say right now? What advice would your future self give you in this moment?
Don't give up. Stay with it. It'll pay off.
Which is great advice for all of us at any point in time. So I thank you so much for joining us today. My other wonder is, in all of the things that you do, you're very creative. So is there anything, strategies or habits or practices that you do to help keep the creativity flowing, to think of new ideas and keep moving forward? Because sometimes I'm thinking, if you're a writer, sometimes you can get stuck. So how do you energize that creativity, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I've got a couple of ways, and a couple of ways that I need to be creative that I've learned are different. Like, there's one thing about being creative in writing, and you get stuck in this, you want that extra idea, but then also, how am I going to create this effect and make that work without making it look wrong? And that's not necessarily like a creative idea for a storyline.
No,
That's
it's still creativity.
it's like, you got to invent this. So for the art side of it, I like to watch movies. I like to listen to music. I get inspired by other artists. Sometimes I'll accidentally see something on Instagram, another artist does a painting or a photograph or something, and I find inspiration from it. And it's maybe not what they intended, but somehow I take something from it.
Yes.
And Naomi's little brother was, he just graduated, going to college now, but they were in plays, in high school plays. So we used to go back and watch Naomi's little brother in the plays. And sometimes just watching that, I get inspired by their energy and their acting or something they did. And it just gives me the motivation to say, oh, like, I like this vibe. I like this. And that's a direction. So there's a lot in the world around that if you just keep your eyes open and listen for it, it'll come.
Way to think about creativity, that we all have it, it's there, but we have to slow down sometimes. And sometimes we work ourselves into, I need this and it won't come, and we're sort of stuck. But if we actually take a step back and look at the world around us, including the people there, that can make all the difference in the world to help us spring forward. And we'll have picked up new perspectives and new information to help move us there. So I appreciate that, because creativity, I think pretty much in your entire career is creativity, graphic design, acting, producing, special effects. How do you design and innovate all of those different pieces? How do you create makeup colors and share all of those different pieces? So I think creativity is something that we can practice, that we can learn how to do, but also that we need to find those strategies that work for us. And I was talking to a graphic designer. She lives in Bali now. She used to live in the US. And she said, everybody's like, follow your passion, follow your passion. She's like, what if we followed our curiosity? And perhaps that would lead us to our purpose. And she said, when she gets stuck, she says, I have to switch. Sometimes I have to switch to painting or to get out for a walk, which is sort of what you had said, like, change, look at the world around you. You have to pause long enough to get that information. But I think it was Elizabeth Gilbert that she had said, follow your curiosity rather than follow your passion. And she was talking about, I think, Big Magic, I think, was the book that she was referencing from that. So I appreciate you sharing that. Is there a question that you always wish that people would ask you on podcasts or TV interviews or other things that you'd like to share that no one's ever asked you?
Would you like $10 million?
Yes. Yes. That's a great question.
Great question. I've heard that one.
It will come.
No.
Pretty soon. We'll have another podcast and you'll be like, it happened, Stephanie. That
It
it's
happened.
there. Yes. So I wanted to say thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate all of the habits and strategies that you shared with us to level up life, and that we could connect and learn from you and all of your vast experience in a variety of different fields. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
From the origin story of Real Fiction Studios to the reminder to believe in yourself, because what you are looking for is already in you. You just need to recognize what you bring to the world. And where do you find creativity? It's all around us. Inspiration is in the movies, the music, and the artists you surround yourself with. It's in the actions of your daily life. It's opening your senses to appreciate not only the people, but the energy around us. Be sure to check out Jason's newest Real Fiction Studios project, The Death of Snow White, coming in March of 2025. Be sure to check out the show notes for links to realfictionstudios.com and thedeathofsnowwhite.com. In the end, the ultimate level up is to see the opportunity to grow through the hard times and come out of the storm with the ability to look back and say, I've been there, and now I'm in a better place. To keep moving forward, because getting to where you are now is why you had to be there in the first place. And with that, remember, don't give up, stay with it, and in the end, you will be the difference. Thanks for listening. Here's your episode 10 Mind Game Challenge. Share this episode and one example of a time that you've brought fiction to life. So when did you make your dreams a reality? Hashtag it, level up your life. Thank you for choosing to listen to Mind Game, a podcast to level up your life. We hope that you've enjoyed the insights, inspiration, and habits shared in this episode. Your support is a game changer, and we are incredibly grateful to be on this journey with such an amazing community of listeners. If you have any wonders, questions, or suggestions about this or future episodes, we'd love to hear from you. Connect with us on social media and share your feedback. Remember, you can catch all of our episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It helps us bring valuable content to you, our listeners. Don't want to miss the next episode? Join our Facebook group and email list and get ahead of the game. Until next time, remember to mind the game so that you can get out of your own way and level up your life.